It was 11:17 p.m. when I pulled into my own driveway and saw every light in the house blazing like a damn Christmas tree. My HOA president's white BMW parked dead center where my truck belonged, and the faint sound of someone belting out off-key Adele from my master bathroom. 2 weeks early from a client trip in Seattle. I'd expected jet lag in my own bed. Instead, I got the queen of suburban tyranny treating my inherited colonial like her personal Airbnb. My name is Ryan Harper. 45. Recently divorced. And the reluctant new owner of a 4,200 square foot colonial in Willow Creek Estates, one of those picture-perfect American suburbs where the lawns are greener than envy and the rules are stricter than a nun's ruler. My late Uncle Ray left me the place 6 months ago. Paid off and full of memories. What he didn't leave me was a warning label about Deborah Langston. Deborah was 54. HOA president for 7 glorious years. Local realtor. And the kind of woman who said community standards the way other people say thoughts and prayers, with absolute conviction and zero self-awareness. She lived in a modest townhouse on the edge of the development. But you'd think she owned the whole zip code the way she patrolled it. The harassment started small. The way these things always do. I was still unpacking boxes when her heels clicked up my walkway like a countdown timer. "Welcome to Willow Creek, Mr. Harper," she said. Clipboard in hand. Smile tight enough to crack walnuts. "I'm Deborah Langston, president of the HOA. Quick note about your mailbox. That black finish? Against code. We require forest green. Matte finish only. 10 days to comply or it's $150. That mailbox has been there since the house was built in 1987, I said mildly. Previous leniency doesn't create precedent, she replied, handing me the citation like she was awarding a medal. We're all in this together for the greater good. Week 2, trash cans left out past 6 p.m. Because garbage pickup was at 5 a.m. And I'd worked late. Citation. Week 4, my teenage daughter's bike visible on the side of the house for 45 minutes after school. Citation. Week 7, excessive commercial activity because I'd had 2 Amazon deliveries for work monitors. She actually wrote operating an unauthorized distribution center. I smiled. Nodded. Paid the fines. And said nothing. People thought I was spineless. I was just watching. Documenting. Learning exactly how Deborah operated. Because when you've spent 20 years as a cybersecurity consultant, you learn that the loudest enforcers are usually the ones with the most to hide. I only told 2 people about my 2-week trip to Seattle, my neighbor Mrs. Alvarez. A sweet 70-year-old widow who brought over enchiladas. And my daughter Sophie. Somehow Deborah found out anyway. The night before I left. Those heels clicked again. Leaving the property vacant for 2 weeks, she asked. Eyes scanning my foyer like a drone. That's a security risk. I'd be happy to keep an eye on things. For the community. Of course. I've got it handled, I said. Her smile never reached her eyes. We'll see. I came home early because the client signed faster than expected. Suitcase in hand. Exhausted. Dreaming of my own shower. Instead I smelled her signature floral perfume, the same cloying scent that lingered after every board meeting like a chemical weapon of entitlement. Takeout containers on my counter. My $180 Cabernet open on the island. Dirty wine glasses in the sink. I moved quietly. Phone recording everything. Upstairs. The shower was running. And someone was singing. Badly. I climbed the stairs. Each creak familiar. The bathroom door was ajar. Steam poured out. Through the frosted glass. A silhouette that definitely wasn't mine. "Deborah," I called out. Voice calm. The singing cut off like someone hit mute. Water kept running. The shower door slid open. Deborah Langston stepped out wrapped in my favorite robe. Hair dripping onto my hardwood floors. Face cycling through shock. Outrage. And something that looked dangerously like calculation. "Ryan. You're not supposed to be back for another 2 weeks. It's my house." "Deborah. I can come back whenever I damn well please." She clutched the robe tighter. There was a break-in scare on the next street over. As HOA president, I have emergency authority to secure vacant properties. It's all perfectly legal. I even have documentation. She marched, still in my robe, into my home office and produced a folder with a document titled Emergency Caretaker Agreement. My signature was at the bottom. Or something pretending to be my signature. I almost laughed. Nice forgery. The pressure on the M is completely wrong. I've analyzed thousands of these for corporate clients. Want to try again? That's when the guest bathroom toilet flushed. Out walked Officer Mike Delgado in full uniform. The same Mike who coached Sophie's soccer team and always waved when he drove by. Now he looked like a kid caught with his hand in the cookie jar. "Everything okay here?" "Deborah?" he asked. Hand resting on his belt like this was routine. The pieces snapped together. This wasn't just squatting. This was a cozy little arrangement. I kept my voice even. "Mike. You realize you're standing in my house. Off duty. In uniform. With a woman who's been living here illegally while I was out of the country." He shifted. "She said you authorized it." "Did I?" Silence. I held up my phone. "Everything's been recording since I walked in. And I'm pretty sure your department has policies about officers getting involved in personal disputes. Especially when forgery might be involved." Deborah's face went the color of spoiled milk. "This is ridiculous. I was protecting community property values. By drinking my wine and using my shower?" I asked. "For the greater good. I'm sure." The next morning I changed the locks. Installed better cameras. And started digging. Quietly. By afternoon, Mrs. Alvarez knocked with fresh tamales and gossip hotter than the salsa. "She told everyone you were subletting to her temporarily," she whispered. "Said you needed the cash after the divorce. Hosted a little client appreciation dinner here last week. Showed off the house like it was hers." Deborah's retaliation came fast. An emergency board meeting summons slid under my door, 24 hours notice. Charges: harassment of board members. Disturbing the peace. Threatening community officials. The meeting was a joke. Deborah presided in a power blazer. 3 board members were her real estate clients. 1 was her cousin. Only old Mr. Hargrove looked like he had a spine. She opened with fake concern. "Ryan. We've received reports of aggressive behavior." Officer Delgado provided a statement. I smiled. "I'd love to hear it. Especially the part where he was in my house without permission." The room got very quiet. When they tried to fine me $2,000 and impose monthly monitoring fees, I simply said, "I look forward to seeing the specific bylaw that grants you authority to occupy member homes." Paragraph and subsection. "Please." Deborah's eye twitched. "The board has broad emergency powers." Cited. More paper shuffling. More silence. Mr. Hargrove cleared his throat. "I think we need to table this." That night I called my lawyer. Elena Vargas, a pit bull in heels who specialized in HOA abuse cases. Within 48 hours she'd found the gold. The Emergency Caretaker Authority? Completely made up. No such bylaw existed. The forged agreement was amateur hour. And Deborah had been collecting monitoring fees from multiple homeowners for years with zero legal basis. But that was just the appetizer. My new cameras caught everything. Deborah giving private tours of my house to wealthy clients. Bragging about managing premium properties in Willow Creek. Her phone had tried to connect to my Wi-Fi and probe files. Deleted files that weren't actually deleted told the real story, fake vendor invoices. Diverted HOA funds. A side business using other people's vacant homes as luxury showrooms. The deeper we dug, the uglier it got. Over $180,000 in fraudulent emergency repairs across 3 HOAs. Trees trimmed that were never touched. Roofs replaced that still had the original shingles. All the checks funneled back to a shell company tied to Deborah. She wasn't just a power-tripping Karen. She was running a small-scale criminal enterprise dressed up in pastel cardigans and community standards. The community started waking up. Mrs. Alvarez organized a backyard coffee. 23 families showed up. Stories poured out, elderly couples fined into near bankruptcy. Young families threatened with liens over playground chalk on driveways. One guy cited for his American flag being too large on Memorial Day. We weren't victims anymore. We were witnesses. Deborah's final meltdown happened at an emergency HOA meeting she called to push through a massive special assessment to cover legal costs caused by troublemakers. Translation: make everyone else pay her defense bills. 47 homeowners packed the community center. The air was thick with tension and Mrs. Alvarez's homemade cookies. Deborah stood at the podium. Voice dripping honey. This one individual has disrupted our peaceful community with baseless accusations. We all need to contribute equally to protect what we've built. Mr. Hargrove stood up. I move to remove Deborah Langston as president for financial misconduct and breach of fiduciary duty. The vote was brutal. 46-1. Her cousin was the only holdout and got voted off 2 minutes later. As Deborah gathered her papers, face purple with rage, the doors opened. 2 FBI agents and a local detective walked in. Deborah Langston, the lead agent said. Voice carrying across the room. We have a warrant for your arrest on mail fraud. Wire fraud. Conspiracy. And embezzlement. The handcuffs clicked. She spun toward me. Eyes wild. This is all because of you. You destroyed everything. I just looked at her. No. Deborah. You did that the moment you decided the rules only applied to everyone else. The room erupted in applause. 6 months later. Deborah took a plea deal, 18 months federal time. Full restitution. Real estate license revoked. Lifetime ban from any HOA board in the state. Officer Delgado lost his job and pension. The civil suit settled for enough to create a homeowner defense fund that's already helped 3 other families. Willow Creek passed new bylaws requiring financial audits, conflict disclosures, an actual due process. Property values went up. Turns out people like living somewhere without a tin pot dictator and pearls. My house feels like home again. Sophie and I hosted the first real block party in years. Kids ran around without fear of citations. Neighbors actually talked to each other instead of through passive-aggressive notes. Uncle Ray always said this house was meant to bring people together. He just never imagined it would take exposing one woman's empire of mulch-color fascism to make it happen. So here's the question that keeps me up at night. And I want your honest take in the comments. When a self-appointed neighborhood enforcer breaks every law she claims to uphold in the name of community standards, who's really the threat to the neighborhood? The guy who finally fights back? Or the Karen who thinks the rules are for thee but never for me? Drop your HOA horror stories below. If your neighborhood has its own Deborah, You're not alone. And sometimes the most powerful weapon isn't anger. It's patience, evidence, and a really good lawyer. Hit like if you love seeing entitled Karens get what's coming to them. Subscribe for more stories where the little guy finally hits back. Next week, the city councilwoman who tried to shut down a veteran's food truck with fake violations, until he'd been quietly building a case for 8 months. Documentation beats intimidation every single time. Thanks for watching. See you in the comments.